Today I'm going to talk about a very important topic. I do typically try to get to it at least once every 6 or 7 months because it's very prevalent in our business. It's something that a lot of us handle incorrectly. I've been in this business for 19 years. I see it over and over again, and it is something we need to talk about because to me, it's probably one of the number one killers. Our mindset, we have much more control over our environment than we think we do, and oftentimes we're letting it affect us a little bit too much. And so today I want to talk about that negativity. I want to talk about that failure and rejection that we run into, and I want us to understand what is, and a lot of you may know this that have been on my past calls, but if I were to ask you, what is our number one obstacle in this business? I get a lot of responses from that. Well, for me, it's objection handling. For me, it's the phones. I just can't handle the phones. For me, it's, door knocking. I don't like door knocking. It's trying to learn a different market. I get a lot of different responses from people when I ask, what is our number one obstacle in this business, in life, right? What's our number one obstacle? And it's the same for everybody. I'm going to tell you, it absolutely is. Whether you believe me or not, you eventually will if you understand it. And obstacles are much easier to overcome if we see it coming. If I see that speed bump coming, I can step over it. If I don't, I trip and fall and bad things happen, right? So if I can help you guys understand what our number one obstacle is, it'll help you overcome that a little bit easier as long as you trust and believe in what we're saying, right? Number one obstacle in this business is going to be ourselves, okay? It's always going to be ourselves because no matter what, I've been in the business for 19 years, and when I go to pick up the phone, I still have myself saying, well, do we really want to do this right now? That bathroom needs a good cleaning. I've got some chores I need to do. I need to get to my daughters. I've got, other things I could do. Are these leads any good? What if I'm just wasting my time, right? Maybe my area is not that good anymore. I don't know if the area, maybe people are different now. Maybe people don't like to meet with people anymore. And we get all these thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of us on this call have had those thoughts. And that's not, out of the ordinary. It's not like you're weird. That's all completely normal. Our job is to understand that we're our own worst enemy. You've got to be able to flick that devil off your shoulder and say, nope, not today, right? I've had a situation where you have to understand what self-talk does for you, okay? We have self-talk where we think it's the environment that creates, E plus R equals O, right? And what does that mean? So there's the event plus our reaction equals the outcome. I had 2 agents one time back-to-back where I had an agent got a no-show. He had 4 appointments in a night. First one was a no-show. Called me up later and said, I said, hey, how'd it go? And he goes, oh, man, it was just awful night. Saved myself a lot of time, though. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I called I showed up my first appointment, set the appointment that day, showed up. They no-showed me. So I was so upset with that. I drove 45 minutes out there. I had even said it that day, and for them to no-show me is ridiculous. I said, okay, but you had 3 other appointments. How'd that go? Well, I called each of them up to confirm because I wasn't going to waste my time. And, thank goodness I did because they all canceled, and I would have just, been super frustrated if I had just wasted my entire night. And I just kind of shook my head and there's not much I could do at that point. I'm not going to help you if that's the conclusion you got out of having a no-show, which doesn't follow any of our systems or scripts, right? On the flip side of that, I had an agent, I felt like a week later, it could have been a couple weeks later, kind of the same scenario, had 4 or 5 appointments in a night, got no-showed, and instead of telling himself what a waste of time, said, oh, great, I'm going to go to my car and call and set more appointments, right? And then went to his car, set more appointments. This one actually went and worked a lead that was around the corner and door knocked it, actually ended up getting into that one, selling it, went back to the first person that no-showed him, and she was stuck in traffic and didn't pick up her phone. She was home and ended up selling that one. So he thought to himself, I'm going to go out and make something happen. It wasn't, this is a waste of my time. So 2 exact scenarios, 2 situations, right, where you can look at it and say, oh, I got no-showed. What could I have done to be better than that? Or, what a waste of time. 2 completely different outcomes, okay? That mentality is going to make the biggest difference in this business because a lot of people spend their time trying to avoid failure and rejection and negativity in this business. And my point is embrace it, okay? That's the hard part about this business is the more you can face failure, the more you can have failure and face rejection, the better it makes you in this business. The more experience you get, and the more experienced you are, the more confident you're going to be, the more conviction you have. It all ties together. So you need to understand failure and rejection, and more importantly, understand the benefits that each failure is going to actually give you. Each and every failure is an opportunity to experiment, learn, and grow if you allow yourself. You have to be cognizant of what's going on around you. So even if failure costs you financially, which is often what we're thinking about, the educational benefits will far outweigh the loss. Failure is, at the end of the day, a function of attitude and belief. So yes, if I go out and I don't get a sale, okay, or if I go out and I go 0 for 2, yes, that costs me financially. I could have made money had I done better. But you have to understand the stepping stones to this business, because that is also garnering you experience, and that experience is going to help you make more money down the road. So even though you're not seeing it right now, you will see it later, I promise you, if you're thinking about it the right way. So what are some benefits we can get from failure? Because we hear the word failure, we spend our entire lives, we're taught not to fail. Yet, if you think back, we all experience it, and we're all better for it. You know, when you pick up a sport, you don't just go out and, you know, even naturals don't just go out and kill it 100% of the time. Baseball, you have to strike out. Golf, you have to shank the ball. Basketball, you're going to miss some shots, right? And you have to learn what works and what doesn't. If you're picking up an instrument, whatever you're doing in this life, failure is tied to it. So even though we're taught not to want to fail and avoid it, I would encourage you guys to embrace it in this business, because, and I know some of us are probably rolling our eyes going, you want me to embrace failure? Hopefully you're understanding what I'm telling you, because that failure will lead to success. Okay, I'm not saying go be a failure. I'm saying to experience failure so you can have success. So some benefits of that are you can learn from it if you allow yourself. If you just get shut off and you have that BCD behavior, which is I'm going to blame, complain, and get defensive, and nobody can help me, and I'm the greatest, and, you know, it's the leads, it's the area, it's the population, it's the economy, it's everything else but you, that's bad, because you don't have control over that. You can't control that. You better hope it's you. Because if it is you, that you can control, that you can adjust, that you can change, that you can learn and grow from, okay? So allow yourself to learn from it. Two, it gives you the opportunity to try new approaches. Don't come from another organization and bring that baggage and say, well, I had limited success doing what I was doing there, but I know how to do it, so I'll come here and, yeah, you've got a script, but I've got my own, and I don't want to have to relearn anything. I'm just, ultimately what I'm saying is I'm too lazy to do that. I'm just going to keep doing it. If you've got a good lead, I'll do it. And then nothing changes, right? I would challenge you to learn our scripts, learn our systems, and how to use it, utilize it properly. Don't just memorize it and just blurt it out. Use the script to say you're doing mortgage protection. Utilize it properly. And then if that's not working out, let's talk. Let's figure out why. There's what we say, there's how we say it, and there's when we say it. And if you can master those three things, it's going to make a big difference in your business, okay? 3, you are aware of future failure traps. There's only so many objections we can run into this business. And so if somebody says, I just want to shop around, and you say, well, I've done the shopping for you, you know, trust me, you know, I have your best interest at heart. You really need to believe in me and trust in me, and you don't get the sale, are you going to say that same thing next time? No, you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk to Miles or somebody else and say, hey, how do I overcome I want to shop around? That way the next time I run into it, I'm better prepared. That's what I mean by experiencing failure, right? That might have been a failure, but ultimately that's going to make you better. So you're aware of those future failure traps. 4, understand that failure makes you better. Again, only if you allow it. You have to be aware of what's going on. You know, one of the benefits I will say of what I experienced was I had to drive an hour and a half to get to my area just to work my area. And then I was driving Antioch, Oakley, Brentwood, Pittsburgh, sometimes Clayton. So I was driving and working 3 different cities in that area and then driving an hour and a half home. I would actually say one of the benefits of that is on my way out there, I always had 2 train of thoughts. On the way out there, it was, okay, I got to get my script down. Even 6 years into it, I was still doing it. I was role-playing my script. What am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What am I going to sound like? I was doing that because I didn't want to be bad at what I did. I wanted to help these people. And so I did that on the way out there. On the way home, whether I went 4 for 4 or 2 for 4 or 0 for 4, I was thinking about every single appointment and what I could have done better, differently. How do I improve? And it wasn't just a 5-minute drive home and then I'm distracted by family and then I'm not thinking about it. It was an hour and a half where I got to digest how the night went, and it allowed me to process everything. It allowed me to call Mike or my uncle and talk about what happened that night and what I could have done differently and reflect. That made a big difference when I look back on it in my success. Okay, it allowed me to digest it. So I actually didn't mind driving an hour and a half, and I fit all my appointments into 2 nights, so that worked too. 5, know that you are that much closer to your next success. Every failure will bring you that much closer. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game, and even if you're absolutely awful with people, you're always going to find one person that's going to buy from you. You just will. They need the coverage. Just like no matter what, there's always going to be that one person that won't no matter what. It is what it is. It's never 0% and 100%. It's just not. Okay, especially not in this business. So when you guys get right down to it, there really is no such thing as failure. There are only results. Shift your perception there, okay? And those results are either more successful than others. Failure doesn't mean you've reached the end of the line where success is impossible. The only time success is truly impossible is when you quit. Quitting is final, okay? When we say, I'm done, I'm just not going to do it, then you've truly failed. That's where failure got the best of you, okay? However, continued attempts with commitment, conviction, purpose, and steady diligence can and will always be turned into success. If you can look at failure as an unavoidably yet vital component in your business, okay, and not something that you're trying to avoid and trying not to experience, you will grow, adapt, get better, and build better habits, okay? So here's some tips that we're going to go over today to handle failure and rejection. Now that we kind of have the perception part of it down, now that we're digesting a lot of that and understanding, negativity spreads much easier than positivity. Stay away from what I call stacking, if you will. It's just a term I made up, okay? I'm not a professional by any means, but I call it stacking, okay? When you get something negative happens, we naturally start to default to, oh, great, now my tank is empty. Oh, great, now I have to call the PG&E, and I don't know if we paid this bill, and oh, I didn't do this over here. And you start stacking all the negative things that are going on in your life that you cannot possibly control in that one moment. Stay away from that. If you start doing that, start thinking about a sunny day on the beach, take a deep breath, handle one thing at a time. It'll alleviate a lot of that pressure there, okay? Don't start stacking everything on top of it. Negativity is a snowball effect. That's just going to hurt you. It won't help you, okay? And it's hard to be productive when that happens, okay? Tip number 1, take action. Okay, you have to take action. The quickest and most powerful way to overcome fear and build your confidence, and understand, guys, confidence is like a muscle. It'll grow if you allow it. You can build your confidence up, is to take action now. As soon as you do, you'll begin accumulating experience, knowledge. Everything is hardest the first time. If I give you that script, it's hard the first time. But understand the 15th time, the 20th time, you're going to be an expert, okay? It's going to get easier and easier. It always does. The only true failure in our business is inaction. We've already talked about that. The saddest summary of a life contains 3 descriptions: could have, might have, and should have. Number 2, burn the boats. Again, not telling you guys to actually do this, but this is something that Mike told me. It was funny. When I was, I don't know how old, 21, 22 years old, he goes, man, I really want you to go get some debt. I was like, huh? He goes, go buy a new house, go buy a new car, go do something because, I see you just working 1 or 2 nights a week and you're making this money, but man, how do I get you working 3 or 4 nights? If you go buy a house, you'll be driven and you'll work that much harder when those bills stack up. It was funny because that was freaking 10, I don't know how long ago that was, 12, 15 years ago, whatever it is, and to this day, it's still applicable, right? When ancient Greek armies traveled across the sea to do battle, the first thing they would do after landing was to burn their boats, leaving them stranded with no way to make it home besides victory. The resolve of those soldiers was strengthened. When success and failure are the only options, you have no choice but to follow through and do whatever it takes to win. So if you have a goal but are afraid to commit, force yourself into action by burning the boats, okay? Don't just stick your foot in the water and say, let me see how this works. Let me flip a coin and see if I'm going to have success or not. Let me just try this leads for this week and see what happens, right? You're flipping a coin. I can't tell you guys how many times I got 10 leads in a week and went 0 for 7 or 0 for 6 or 1 for 6 or whatever and had a bad week. And the next week I get 10 leads and I go 6 for 10. And I write, $8,000 up or $14,000, $12,000, $7,000. I've had weeks like that, right? So you don't flip a coin. If you're going to base anything, it's got to be off at least a 6-week time frame. Okay, I'm going to get these leads. I'm going to get them for 6 weeks and see what kind of results I get. And if you don't have the money or the time or whatnot, you can't get in this business and do it properly. You have to give it a fair shake, just like anything in life, right? Whatever you're going to do, you have to actually do it. So understand that. Force yourself into action. Don't just flip a coin and say, let's see if this works or not, right? Some people want it to happen. Some wish it would happen. I prefer to make it happen. That's Michael Jordan. That's one of my favorite quotes. Number 3, surround yourself with support and positive people. It's why we're here. It's why we have production consultants. It's why I'm here. Whether it be your manager, teammates, they're all there for a reason, guys. Everyone has their highs and lows. We all do, okay? As you get better, the lows will hopefully get less and less. They should. And you need people to rally around you and pick you up when needed. That's okay. That's not needing, I guess it is like needing a crutch, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we're here. Me being able to call my uncle or Mike and just even decompress and say, you're not going to believe the jerk I ran into tonight, or how weird this guy was, or how great these people were. It's nice to have that, okay? And it's nice to talk to others that know what you're talking about, not just go home and talk to your spouse that's like, oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. So utilize that, okay? Plus, when you surround yourself with positive and successful people, it does have a way of rubbing off on you as well. That's an important component to this business. It's why we're here. We're here to help your business grow if you allow us to. So surround yourself with people who take their work seriously but not themselves, those who work hard and play hard. 4, act with a higher purpose and give it everything you have. That goes into not just sticking your foot in the water, being afraid, building your confidence up. When you act with a higher purpose, when you have a higher belief than just yourself and self-serving, maybe that gets some people by. For me, I had defining moments where it made me realize, what we do actually impacts people's lives. Okay, we're actually helping people. When I had, a lady call me and tell me, oh, we want the coverage now, and found out that her husband was dying and had cancer and I couldn't help them, I didn't feel good about myself. I felt I didn't do my job when I had initially met them 6 months prior. Had I done my job, I would have got them coverage and they would be taken care of. So when you act with that higher purpose, it does help your business because you're speaking with confidence, conviction, belief, and all that, again, goes into not just what we're saying, but how we're saying it. That's the most important thing in this business, is mastering that part of it. Take yourself out of the equation when a failure occurs. As long as you know you gave it everything you have, doing the right thing and spoke with belief and conviction, then a no-sell in our line of work is really a failure on the client, and it's going to help you at the end of the day be okay with that. I'm okay if somebody tells me no, if I go over everything and I speak with the conviction, the belief, everything, the confidence, and they're just saying this isn't for me. That's not a failure on my part at that point. I'm okay with that. That's on them, as long as I know I was acting within that realm, okay? And that's okay. A difficult time can be more readily endured if we retain the conviction that our existence holds a purpose, a cause to purpose, a person to love, a goal to achieve. John Maxwell. Number 5, don't take yourself too serious and don't forget to have fun. So, that goes into having a balance, guys. Again, it's having attitude and control in a home. I always equate it to walking a tightrope. Okay, you lean too far to the left, you tip over. You lean too far to the right, you tip over, you fall off. Okay, you always have to maintain a level of balance. And so, yes, don't take yourself too serious, but at the same time, take it serious, right? You don't want to just not get a sale and say, oh, well, nobody would have got that. That's not helping. What could I have done, right? How could I have gotten better? But at the same time, you're not going to take it so serious that you're like, man, I guess this just isn't working. I guess I just need to quit. Stay away from that, right? Yes, we are sales professionals in what is perceived to be an old, stodgy industry, but we can still get a few laughs at our own expense and be able to work better. In fact, we typically demand it. There will always be serious times and times when it's all business, as we all have expectations and commitments to uphold, and usually we're hardest on ourselves. I get that, but work should be fun. And you should do everything in your power to ensure that you are having fun, because in anything in life, you'll do better, you'll be better, you'll perform better if you do believe in what you do, if you're having fun in what you do, if you enjoy helping people. That's a lot better than, oh, man, I really need this application tonight. I really need money. I need to get this sale, right? And you go in there. What's your body language like? What are these people reading from you? Not verbally, but your body language. If you're going in there needing that sale because you're stressed out because you need to make your car payment or your house payment or whatever it is, that's a lot different than if you're going in there happy, carefree, wanting to help them and protect them and educate them on how to protect their home and their family so that if the unexpected does occur, you're going to keep that roof over their head for their loved ones, right? There's a big difference there. 6, last but not least, you don't have to do this because you're all independent contractors. You work for yourselves, but you should want to do this. Review each week appointment with either your area manager, your production consultant, your team, whatever. It allows you to, when you can speak out loud about what you did for the week, it just helps you digest it a little bit better than internalizing it. When you just internalize it and say, I went 3 for 7, that's okay. It's a bit different than when you're talking to Miles or myself and saying, yeah, I went 3 for 7. That's a fantastic job, but what happened to the other 4 you didn't get? Well, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about it, because maybe you could have went 4 for 7. Maybe you could have went 5 for 7. And that makes a big difference in your business. Just one additional sale a week in mortgage protection is going to net you an additional $48,000, $49,000 in premium based off average premium. That's a big deal. That takes you from $100,000 to almost $150,000 a year. So it could make a big deal. You want to review, learn, correct yourself, review what you have learned, grow, and prepare yourself for the next time it happens. It's the only way to learn from your failure, and it's why people have coaches. It's why, nobody just goes out there and tries to learn these things on their own. They need somebody there in their corner that wants to see them succeed. However, they can't want it more than you. You have to want it more than anybody else. So hopefully that's all I have for you today, guys. Hopefully that gives you a good idea on failure and rejection and how to utilize it properly, how not to try and avoid it, but embrace it in order to make you better, in order to gain and garner the experience you need, in order to feel like and become the professional you should be in this business, okay? And you'll start to see that you're going to help more people, you're going to help yourself, and good things start to happen when you do that.